Okay, let's get started here. We are talking 2023 NBA draft wing prospects. Spins, we decided to save the Thompson twins for this one.
Did.
We have Cam Whitmore, we have Anthony Black, we have Dariq Whitehead, we have Dylan Mitchell. We have a number of really fun players that we're going to have to talk about here. But let's start with the Thompson twins.
Sure.
Have gone on a bit of a tour here. They've played an NBL team. They've played Mega. We've gotten some really good tape from OTE thus far and its key players this season. I mean, the biggest thing that's just been the absolute critical highlight. Amen Thompson is absolutely balling out. I mean, goodness. This dude looks like the number 3 prospect in this class right now.
Yeah,
He is absolutely confident as all hell. He is attacking relentlessly against these pro teams. Even like he's just been so incredibly productive. He is, to me right now, the number 3 prospect in this class, even above Cam Whitmore. And I know that both you and I really, really love Cam Whitmore, as we're going to talk about here momentarily.
Yeah, a love-hate relationship with Whitmore from my end because he dunked on us like 4 times last year.
Absolutely obliterated the boys Latin Lakers last year. Cam Whitmore.
Yeah, he's good. He's very good. But let's stick to Thompson here. So like when we're talking about wings, obviously we mentioned it last week with the guards positional group. I think it's worth at least reminding people the way that we're grouping these positionally is more about who they guard than what their offensive tendencies are. That this is a lot of the times going to be 3 categories: guards, wings, and posts. And we're looking more at, what is your main position, your primary position on defense going to have you matching up with? So that's, to me, one of the reasons why the Thompson twins end up in this position group and category, because they are 6'7", 6'8", long-armed, can defend up and down the lineup. I think that it behooves them to play a little bit more in that kind of spot on the defensive end and be surrounded by smaller shooters, so to speak, in an ideal standpoint. Huge fan of Amen Thompson, particularly over the last month or so. He has won me over in a lot of really big ways. I hate the word generational, but let's just say strongly elite athlete. Incredible first step, the ability to change speeds. I mean, he's something.
He is, to me at least. Amen Thompson is like, I said previously, I think he's going to enter the NBA as one of the 5 best athletes in the league. I think that's right. Like, he might not be generational, but he is like elite of the elite of the elite in the NBA. And I don't say that lightly. Like, I am someone that tends to downplay like athleticism in some way, shape, or form when it comes to prospects. Amen Thompson is in his own class. He is something different for his size. He has the body control. He has the twitch. He has the explosiveness. Like it's across the board. Amen Thompson is just like he's a different level dude as an athlete.
He is. And I'm glad you mentioned all those different ways, because athleticism isn't just how high you jump. It's not just your vertical and your explosion in the open floor. It's your stop-start going from 0 to a full sprint and a drive. It's your deceleration in the lane. And he's shown over the last couple of weeks that he's great with both areas. He's got blistering speed in the open floor. He can get skinny and pressure and move his feet laterally on the defensive end. He can fly and take off of 1 foot or 2 feet. He's very good at leaping and making decisions in the air, because he gets what seems like a full extra second when he's in the air to make some of those decisions as a passer or a scorer. He's got so many tools to work with, but his processing speed as a playmaker matched with those skills allows him to really just put pressure on defenses. I love guys who have that straight line speed where even if a defender's in perfect position and funneling them towards the baseline or to an area where they might not get a clean look at the rim, a help defender is still going to be able to come, because they're just so threatened by the thought of Amen Thompson driving and dunking on them. And when he marries that with his high IQ passing feel and ability to make accurate reads on the move, he's going to be just a constant rim pressure threat. And to me, when you're talking about guys to build an offense around, we're going to talk about the jump shot. I'm sure that's something that we absolutely have to discuss with Amen Thompson. But he has all of the natural tools right from the jump to be an elite guy at putting pressure on the rim. And to me, that's still what counts most for a primary option.
Yeah, and look, there are some things he has to clean up from a ball handling perspective. There are some things he has to clean up from just like, he gets so aggressive, but like he puts so much pressure that he is a foul drawing machine. He's an attack oriented, just absolute stud. I don't know. I am such a big fan of Amen Thompson. Just an absolute stud. I want to talk about the shooting with the two of them together a little bit at the end, but let's talk about Ausar Thompson. I don't want to say I'm worried. That's probably not fair. I don't think that would be completely accurate, but I do think Amen has pretty clearly taken a step ahead at this point based off of the last, month and a half of tape that we've seen.
Yep.
He just looks a little bit better. The thing that I'm struggling with a bit with Ausar is, what is the role exactly for him? With Amen, he's an incredible passer, playmaker, pressure player, twitchy athlete. Like, even if he doesn't shoot it, he's going to be effective because he just makes shit happen out there in such a substantial way. Ausar is a lot more polished, a lot more, has better footwork. I think his jumper is slightly farther along than Amen's, if I'm being completely honest. I can't quite. Yeah, like
there's something missing to it. I think part of it for me, and I'll try to put my explanation on this here, is there's a lack of marriage between his athletic tools and his playmaking. In the way that Amen plays as such a twitchy athlete and his ability to make plays on the move, there's no pass, no type of read, no coverage that he can't counter on that. With Ausar, he almost seems like he makes his plays before he gets a paint touch, that a lot of his reads are proactive kicks, that he understands where the help is going to come from, and he makes that pass. But once he gets below that middle hash in the lane, he's committed to driving and trying to make his finish at the basket. Isn't great at, he's got to come to, like you said, play off 2 feet, have those reverse pivots and kind of pump fakes and make those polished counter moves. He's not as great with the live body stuff. A phenomenal athlete in a lot of ways, but he hasn't figured out how to be that dynamic playmaker while being a threat to try to get to the rim. And that is really hard to do when you don't have a great jump shot. Yeah.
I think that's a very good summarization of it all. And he defends. They're both very good defensively, by the way. Let's be clear about that too. They're both very good defensively. They both do a really, really good job of, I think Amen is more of a playmaker. I think Ausar is a little bit more solid positionally, because I think he's a little bit stronger at this point. I don't know if Amen would agree with that, having talked to them, given how competitive they are. You can go find that video from a few months ago where I talked to both of them and broke down tape with them. But I think that Ausar probably holds his ground just a little bit more, which is going to allow him to guard up the lineup a little bit easier. It's just, what is the role? He needs to be like an attack oriented player, but I don't know if he's quite creative enough off the bounce yet to truly, like, all the time put pressure on the defense. And I don't know that he's quite as switchy as Amen, and he's not quite yet a shooter. And I think it goes as much as anything to show what the margin for error is when you are a non-shooter. If you can't shoot, you basically have to be like Amen Thompson, lightning in a bottle, make everything happen. The athleticism, the defensive upside, the potential is like a secondary playmaker passer, does give Ausar Thompson like very real upside if the shooting comes together, but it also creates a lower floor. the lack of shooting really does foster some problems, I guess is what I would say.
Well, and Sam, I haven't done the research on this because I'm just kind of thinking it right now, but off the top of your head, I mean, how many all-star caliber primary options on an NBA team over the last 15 years or so have shot less than 32% from three, predictably year after year? Like, that's what you're getting. Russell Westbrook stands out as one. Like, are there any others?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think about it, but
yeah, from the guard spot, obviously. I don't, and I think that's where it has to be. Like, all of the intangibles, all of the elite athleticism, the drive game after game, year after year to do what Russell Westbrook has. Like, that's how you become an all-star caliber player when you don't have the jump shot. And that's a lot to bank on for a kid like Ausar or Amen. But, I think Amen's tools are just a little bit higher ceiling than Ausar's right now.
Yeah, and look at here's the deal. They're both very high-level kids. They're both high-level workers. I absolutely think Ausar is going to play in the NBA and is going to play in the NBA for a while. I'm not so overly concerned that that's an issue. It is probably unfair on some level that we always compare the two, but it has almost been set up for that to be the case, if only because they play together. They are, they're these two guys that went to OTE and decided to both create this new paradigm of being a prospect, right? So, who else do we compare them to on OTE but themselves, right? Because they are a level above everyone else. And right now, I guess, based off of this entire little tour that they've done of playing high-level teams, I do think that it has gone to show that Amen is just a bit of a level above right now, in my opinion.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Now, I have some questions about whether Amen is truly separating himself into that number 3 spot. There are two other guys, both wings, that I'm sure we'll talk about here, that I have in that 3-4-5 mix alongside of him, but both, unfortunately, injured to start the year in college basketball. So it's going to be a little bit more of a long-term question that lingers.